Stories are the fabric of our universe. They extend upon all reaches of humanity. Where there is language, gesture, voice, life, there too is a story. We often search tirelessly for the next great one, be it a book, a painting, or a song, or a partner. And often, as we search, we overlook the stories nearly knocking down our own doors. Here is a story not of my own, but of my bloodline. Here is a story about my father, Steve Bolden, the origin of my story.
I received these orders that said, you were assigned to FMF Westpac. I remember going to my first sergeant and saying, what the hell does FMF Westpac mean? And he said, Fleet Marine Force West Pacific. You're going to Vietnam. I didn't have any previsions. I guess I thought the Marines were the toughest and all that, but I probably would have gone into the Army or anything. You know, I'd had enough high school, and I wanted to go experience some different parts of the world and some different things. At 17, you're kind of apolitical. I didn't know much about that war or anything at the time. We landed at Da Nang Airport in a TWA jetliner with stewardesses and the whole 9 yards.
Come fly with me, let's fly away. If you can use some exotic...
After that, we got aboard trucks and I went out to the base, an artillery base. And from that artillery base, we would be assigned daily duties, and sometimes it would be your turn to go out in the bush with the radio, and they would chopper us a lot of times out in the bush and dump us off. And we'd have to stay out there 2 or 3 days, just 3 or 4 of us with sidearms. We didn't have machine guns or mortars or cannons, and that was a very dangerous part of it. That's probably the part that scares me the most, is looking back and realizing I was dumped off in the middle of a jungle with a .45 pistol and a radio. I've got to tell you this, as horrible it is, I'm sure the statute of limitations is long gone, but we would sit out there and smoke a few doobs out in the bush and contemplate our place on the universe and whether we were going to die or whatever. So we dreamt up this idea and we called up for an artillery strike. Even though there was no enemy, we would call up and say, we've got enemy in the tree line, and we'd send them the grid coordinates over the radio. I was a radio guy, and we'd say, we got enemy pouring in here, and we'd call up a fire mission, and we'd sit back and smoke doobs and watch the explosions. But we did that for entertainment on several occasions. We were on a search and clear operation, and we went through a village, and they were all friendly and really nice to us and everything. But as soon as we got about 10 minutes out of the village, we got attacked. I mean, we got ambushed. And a lot of gunfire, and we all jumped for the ditches and everything, and it was just 3 Viet Cong that attacked. There was like 20 or 30 of us. And they killed several of the guys in our platoon, and they wounded several others. And what I think happened was they ran out of ammunition, so they wanted to surrender. My CO yelled out, "Chu Hoi, you son of a bitch." If you were a Viet Cong or North Vietnamese and you went Chu Hoi and put your hands up, we repatriated you and to our democracy, and we gave you money for your rifle and re-educated you and all that stuff. He shot him, killed him. The guy jumped up and surrendered, but they'd already killed several U.S. soldiers or Marines, and then the guy wants to surrender. So I thought that the CO did a wonderful thing. I was all for it. I went to NSA Hospital in Da Nang, And there was a Navy guy in there, and he had a Vietnamese girlfriend that brought him in dinner every night that was a lot better than what the hospital was given. And so I asked if she had a sister, and the next day her sister was there with dinner for me, and she brought me dinners for the next 3 or 4 days, and then I just decided to leave the hospital and go live with her in Da Nang. And I didn't tell the military about my plans. I guess I didn't want to go back out into the war and the blood and the violence and everything, and it sounded great just to go and live off base with DM in her apartment in Da Nang. And I really didn't have a plan of how I was gonna get out of it or anything. And because I had my military uniform, I could go to the PX in Da Nang, which is the store for servicemen, and I would buy cartons of cigarettes and cases of Coca-Cola. She had contacts and would take out and sell the Coke or the cigarettes, and then we'd get the money and I'd go back to the PX and buy a shitload more. And I mean, we were living high on the hog. We were making good money. The MPs made a raid on the compound at night, and I got cuffed up and hauled off to jail and spent the next 30 days in the brig for absent without leave. I kept expecting something to go wrong before I left, blown up in a mortar attack or something. And then the day came when we left, or I left, and there was a bunch of servicemen from different outfits, and we all, because our tour of duty was over, we all went to the airport in Da Nang, and lo and behold, we all got on a TWA jetliner.
Let's fly away.
Captain came over the intercom and said, "We have now cleared the airspace of the Republic of South Vietnam. The drinks are on TWA." And there was an incredible roar or cheer from the aircraft of all the servicemen, and we all partied down on TWA's benefit. If I had anything to say, it would be that I'm thankful that as young and as stupid as I was, that I survived and that I came home and was able to buy a farm and live in the country and raise a family. And there were a lot of people that didn't, and specifically ones that I knew that didn't make it home. And I feel for them.